All right, welcome to today's talk. Today I'm going to talk about how being competitive is a lot like being on the freeway. When I was a young martial artist, a lot of the best lessons that I learned were things that I learned when I didn't do well. Okay, it wasn't so much the lessons that I learned when I performed really well, even times at tournaments when I performed really well. Honestly, I learned more the times where where I did not win. And today's example is a good one. One day I went to class and I had a sparring session with a gentleman who was probably about the age that I am now. He might have been a little younger, but close to that, and I was a teenager. And normally we weren't equally matched. Like normally I would have beat him without a lot of trouble. But for some reason on this particular day, he just smashed me. I think he knocked me over twice. And if you're not part of that subculture of like competitive fighting, you might not relate to this, but I was when someone does well against you, you generally hopefully, if your attitude's right, you should be happy for them. So I was happy for the guy. He was ecstatic because he knocked me over. I wasn't angry with him or anything, but I was just upset with myself and I didn't really understand what happened. And another practitioner who had more experience than me, one of the black belts, he kind of saw what was going on and he came over and he took me aside and he goes, "You need to understand something." He says, "When you're on this path, it's like being on the freeway. There are always going to be people in front of you and there's always people behind you and every day it's different." And I think it's an important thing to understand because people have this idea of being the best and that's good. We should strive to be as good as we can. I have a real drive to be really good at everything I do. That's important to me. But we have the reality is we're not always going to be the best. Even if we're best most of the time, there's going to be days where somebody else gets ahead. It's just like being on the freeway. So be competitive, be as good as you can be. And I talk a lot about polishing, like always strive to do better, but be practical about it because there's always going to be someone ahead of you. And it's not always going to be because of, and there's going to be people behind you. And that's not always going to be because of the things you're doing. It's a combination of the things you're doing and the things they're not doing. So little things that up